Hariom Guruji. What is the meaning of Varitra?
Varitra. So Varita is the main word. Varita means the chooser, the one who chooses, one who uses his or her free will to make a choice. That person is called Varita. Varitra means by that Varita.
I couldn't hear.
Oh, okay. Am I audible, everybody?
There was some disturbance.
Yeah. So Varita means, Varitra means by the chooser, by the one who makes a choice. In this case, the choice is to know Atma. The choice. One who makes that choice is called Varita, and Varitra means by that person who makes a choice.
Can it be seeker also?
Sorry. Hari, go ahead.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, yeah.
It was Varitra is the Pratipadikam, right?
Correct. Varitru, Netru, Matru, Tru. Gantru, one who goes Ganta. Rikaranta, Pullinga.
Guruji, can it be seeker also? Seeker.
Yeah, seeker. Seeker is fine.
Hariji is done with his question.
Make sure you understand seeker properly. So seeker is used everywhere. Everybody thinks they are a seeker, you know. Who is not a seeker in India? Tell me. Oh, they'll say he's very spiritual. She's a seeker. All that things. What they are seeking, will never ask. Should never ask what they seek. They are seeker. Nice to know. It's very important. Anyway. Okay, yeah, seeker is fine if you want to use it.
This Nishkamasya Atmanameva Prarthayataha Atmana eva Atma Labhyate ityarthaha. There Prarthayataha is basically the adjective of Nishkamaha. Is that true? Nishkamasya?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Prarthayat is Shatru. Shatru of Prarthaya. Correct? Or Prarthayat is Shatru. So Prarthayataha will be Ekavachanam, which is an adjective to Nishkamasya.
Nishkamasya. Okay. So one who's seeking and is not a victim of Ragadvesha.
Correct. For that person, of that person.
And Swakiyam, I don't think we...
Swakiyam. Yeah, Swakiyam is, what does it say here?
Swa Yathatmam ityarthaha.
Right.
That's all, basically that's the meaning for that. It's equal to that.
Yeah. So Swakiyam, Swasyam.
Okay.
Of oneself, of one's own. That is the meaning. Same as Swa Yathatmyam. Swasya. In this case, Swam, Tanu. One second. Tanu.
Tanu Swam.
Tanu. One second. Tanu is what lingam? Okay, got it. So Tanu is Strilingam. Okay. Tanuhu, Tanvi, Tanvaha. That's how it works. It's Strilingam. That is why it is Swam as opposed to Swam. Okay, Swam. That is why it is Swakiyam, not Swakiyam.
Okay.
Tanu. Tanu means body, person, self, can be used anywhere. Tanu, Strilingam. Look it up.
Okay. And that's qualified by Paramarthikim, right? Paramarthikim.
Correct. Paramarthikim. So here, Tanu, Swam Tanu. The Tanu here means nature.
Mhm.
Literal meaning is body, etc. But here, nature. Swam Tanu, one's own Swarupa. And what kind of Swarupa? Paramarthikim Tanu. Paramarthikim Swarupam. You have to say Swarupa because Trilingam,
Swarupa. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jagmarji.
Yeah. Vijay, go ahead.
Yeah, Guruji, just wondering, Narada, having learnt all the Upanishads and all that, I'm just wondering, what sorrow did he have? Meaning, just a confusion as to really, he would have probably already realized with having done all this, what he's doing and what he continues to do. He's not a samsari, right?
What is your definition of a samsari?
Who is in this samsara and meaning I don't know, because he's a devotee, greatest devotee, we say, always taking Lord's name, read everything, all the scriptures. Now, if he has to say that, oh, I am still not Atma with, I'm just wondering.
Right. So that shows, that tells us, see, in one mantra, Chandogya Upanishad, I think says, one who worships Devata does not know. Okay. That means what? That means if you consider Bhagavan as different than you, then you don't know. I'm worshipping God because God is different, more powerful. I'm not God for sure. I'm not God for sure. If I say, that means I'm already in the wrong track. As far as Advaita Vedanta is concerned, I'm in the wrong track. Because that worship only reinforces my ajnanam. It only reinforces my ajnana. Think about it.
Yeah, but does he?
We are not saying worship is not useful, etc. All that is very useful. It has to lead us to this vidya. So, in that mantra, it says Narada grieves. The Narada is claiming that he grieves.
That's what. So grief and sorrow is what was something that was a little confusing. Yes, he might have that. He considers Lord as different from himself. That's ajnanam is there. But is that cause of sorrow? I don't know. I'm wondering.
Oh, I mean, that's the beauty of the statement is that it is, rather than focus on Narada, we should use that statement to focus on us. To say that if such a person like Narada could grieve, that means I should not get carried away by building my resume. I did this, I have to do this, now I have to learn this Sahasranam, then that Sahasranama, then this, that, all this list if I want to build up. Which nothing wrong by itself, nothing wrong. But that cannot be my goal. That cannot be my goal. My goal is to not memorize all these things. My goal is not to read another Sahasranama. Even though by studying another Sahasranama, my Sanskrit will improve, my devotion also will improve. All that is correct. I may do that. But is that the goal or not? If somebody asks me, I must be crystal clear about what my goal is. Narada is telling us, hey, be clear about your goal. Be clear.
Yeah, but it also brings up a slight confusion in me. I'm speaking for myself.
Yes.
Where, which means till you realize the self and attain moksha, you can still be in grief or sorrow. Is that a necessary statement?
So, yeah. So, technically you're correct. You're correct. You're correct. Because as long as Telisite mokshamu teliyakunna bandham. Annamacharya says that. If I know, I got moksha. If I don't know, I'm in samsara. That's what he says. In 1, 2 words, 4 words, he puts it. Okay. Means that is, it says that source is so simple. It's so simple. If it is so simple, then why are you wandering around like this? That it is what Shastra is trying to tell us. And so we should, so therefore, that's why we should not be, as a student of Vedanta, we may be disheartened by the fact that this study seems to be telling me that there is some endpoint. After a long time, there will be some endpoint. Hopefully, this life. That also they are not saying properly. Sometime all that. So that also promises. At least if I sign up for a degree, they will tell me after 6 months you will get so many credits and all. They will tell you all this. But the Shastra is not making any promise like that. And on top of that, until that time, I will be in sorrow. At least some thoda bahut something if you give me along the way, and I can be at least keep me going. You know, that kind of feeling we might have, because everybody is promising goodies. So many ashrams are promising so many great things. Yahan par kya promise hai? I'm not clear about it. That feeling can come. That feeling can come. And so that is why Shraddhavan Labhate Jnana. So we say, okay, Shastram says something like this. It is about me only, fortunately. Fortunately, it's about me. It is not some concept out there. It is not traveling out there. So it is purely dependent on me only. Ashraya. It is residing in me. That whole subject and study, everything is me, about me. Therefore, you are asking a question, like Arjuna is asking the question. What question Arjuna asked?
He asked many questions. No, I don't know which question.
Yoga Brashto Vijayate. What is that? Then Bhagavan will say, Yoga Brashta is Kaschin Nubhaya Vibrashtaha Chinnabram eva Nashyati Apratishto Mahabaho Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. Correct? Kaschin Nubhaya Vibrashtaha. What about me? You know, I've become your student also. I told you I'm your Shishya, so I can't run away also. I'm stuck with you. And then Kaschin Ubhaya Viprashtaha Chinnabram eva. Hey, these clouds are all moving. A big family of clouds is moving. And suddenly one cloud just separates from this group and then drifts away. And drifts away. And then the minute the cloud drifts away, it is not going to retain its form. It just dissipates, disintegrates. Chinnabram eva nashyati. Apratishto Mahabaho. Mahabaho, hey Krishna. Suppose I become like that. Means I'm working hard, Karma Yoga and all, I'm beginning to follow. And I'm about to, I will end up doing what is to be done. But this Sthita Prajna and all you talked about, and if I don't get all this, what happens in this life? Then Krishna explains. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Partha Naivehanamutra Vinashastasya Vidyate. Partha Naivehanamutra Vinashastasya Vidyate. Nahi Kalyanakrit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gachati. Then, no, he says Kalyanakrit, the person who has come to this particular marga, because Kalyanam, it can only bring Kalyanam. It can only bring Mangalam to you. It cannot give you anything other than Mangalam. Therefore, don't worry, even if things don't happen the way you're imagining, it should happen. But if you think it may not happen, if you have that fear, then he says, don't worry. It will continue. Anyway, you've lived so many births. And I know those births, but you don't know. That was said in the 4th chapter. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava cha Arjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetha parantapa. Bahuni, everything is done. So one more janma is not going to ruin things for us. And so don't worry about it, he says. And then Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, etc. Ushitva Shashwati Shamaha, all that comes there. So anyway, so that fear can be there because there's some immediate thing I'm not able to see. On top of that, Krishna is saying, no, you put up with all these things and inconveniences, difficulties, sorrow also. Yes, the sorrow is the main problem. That's why I'm studying all these things. And how long I have to put up with sorrow? That's why titiksha is very important. Titiksha. So these inconveniences that are there, okay. That's why this Shastram is a blessing because it does not give you any feel-good stuff. There is no feel-good stuff in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. It is just looking at things as it is and then helping understand that subject matter and then recognizing that I am Purnaha. If I am Purnaha, then there is a question of sorrow. Sorrow can be there only if I'm. So I think that this body is me. This mind is me. This mind can have various ragadveshas, but it is not me. That clarity has to come. That's what Shastra means. So therefore, Narada, we don't have to be surprised by Narada's saying. We are surprised because we've never seen Narada like that. There is not a single story I've heard where Narada is not smiling. And so how can Narada be Sochami Bhagavo, he says, I am in grief.
Dhanyavad.
Maybe we should not take it literally. We should say, you know what, I still have stuff to understand. You please teach with me.
In this connection, I have 2 points to make. One is we have been taught that even if we go to Swargaloka or Brahmaloka, we have to come back. It is not I don't know where Narada was, whether he was in Swargaloka or Brahmaloka. So that is one thing is there. And the second thing which
if I understood you correctly, you're saying one thing is that we have to come back to Bhuloka in order finally. Is that what you're concluding?
Yeah, it is Krama Mukti, and once our punya is over, then we have to again come back and then do karma and gain punya or baba. So it is going up and down till we get absolute moksha or the Kaivalya Mukti.
Okay.
And secondly, the words 2 of chapter 10 clearly says, Name viduhas suragana prabhavam na maharshaya ahamadi arhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Which the translation is, neither the host of gods nor great sages know my origin. For in all respect, I am the source of all the gods and the great sages. So Krishna also says that all Maharshis and gods, they do not know my origin.
So what is your question? What is your question?
No, when we are talking about Narada, is he included in the host of gods or great sages?
Yeah, according to Narada's own admission, yes.
So it is very clearly written here that though there are so many sages who still have not realized the ultimate.
So your question is?
Krishna himself says.
So what is your question? I'm waiting for your question.
No, it's not question. I was Vijayji's question. I was just adding. So it is, we don't know whether in what category Narada could be included?
There are only two categories as far as Shastra is concerned. Either I know or I don't know. So now we are coming to know that Narada says, I don't know. Mantra videva asmi natu atmavit, he says.
Yeah.
We'll go by that word. That's all. So what you know, you may be you may be accomplished, you may be the head of a state, head of a country, whatever. That's all fine. Those are all within Anatma. Yes, those qualifications can be there. But as far as Atma, you can never say who knows the Atma, who never knows the Atma.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Even a Maharshi can be an Ajnani.
Yeah.
Correct. That's correct.
No, that is, I just thought of highlighting that point.
Fair enough. Yes, correct. I agree. Yeah, give me 1 second. If you can pause the recording. Yeah, Mahesh.
Jayakumarji, in the last line of this PDF book, page 67, Swakiyam Swa, I heard you say Yatarthyam iti artha. Is this correct? Or this is Yatatmyam iti artha?
So it is Yathatvyam. Swa
Yatarthyam, Yatartmyam. That's what PDF says.
Swa Yathatmyam. Swa Yathatmyam.
Itmyam. Okay, thank you.
There's no repa. There's no repa there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And another question I have is like in the previous thing, which says Atma Vivranute, and is translated Atma reveals itself, right?
Okay.
So I thought Atma is Akarta.
Correct. Your thinking is also correct.
So how it reveals something?
Figurative.
I thought all along I was thinking that Atma is always reveals, but our ignorance prevents us from seeing it.
Right. So that's what figurative. Figuratively said. Figuratively said that Atma reveals itself.
Oh, okay.
Now the third quarter of the mantra is very important. Only the person who chooses to know the Atma will know the Atma. That we can understand. And then Atma reveals itself. It's a figurative way of saying, yes, indeed, that is true.
Because it says Prakashayati, I mean translation wise. So I thought, okay, how can it?
Correct. Figurative. Atma Swaprakasha.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Prasadji, go ahead.
The second part of the mantra, if I understand, so whoever the self chooses, to that oneself, it reveals the self, right? That's the meaning. So, if I why I'm saying this is because from this, seeker is the self, and to whom it is revealed is the self. Hence, that's why I can say consciousness is real. I can deduce from that by this understanding.
Okay. So from this, you're deducing that consciousness is real. Is that your?
I mean, I will say that. So this is a good example where, I mean, we all talk about consciousness is the reality. So if I understand here, the second part of the mantra, whoever the self chooses, to that oneself, it reveals, right? That's the meaning of the second part of the mantra, before asking to whom it chooses. So the second part of the mantra, now I can say confidently, right? I mean, consciousness is real. That's why, because the seeker is self, and to whom it is revealed is also self.
Seeker is the sort. The idea here is that because Atma is so very different from Anatma. Atma is not one of the many things. Atma is like mountain climbing. or anything different, another new things. Everybody wants something new, new. This I learned once I went to America when I was studying and all. And then they used to ask something like, what are you up to these days? What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. I mean, I'm studying, I want to get a degree, whatever. And then after job, and then you get a job. What are you doing these days? What are you doing these days? Don't you? I have a job and I'm working, and that's it. There's nothing else I'm doing. But then what they mean is this. You're supposed to buy a house, and then after the house is there, then you have to do something. Really, after house, you have to do something. What is that? They will do things like I'm extending my backyard, I'm cleaning up this, and then I'm bringing a patio, I have to construct. They can keep on changing the house, this thing I have to put, they should do this. And the stucco roof, it seems, and then this, it seems. They talk about all these things. I understood. Kuch na kuch karna chahiye. That is, America means kuch na kuch, you have to be busy doing something. You can never say, I'm not doing anything. You're not doing anything. You're a very uninteresting person. So, this is how the life is. Kuch na kuch karna chahiye. Apyam, utpadyam, samskaryam, vikaryam, apyam, prapyam, utpadyam, samskaryam, vikaryam. You have to keep on doing something. Next party, you must have something to say, something good to say. At least you must say, I went on a cruise. Oh, went on a cruise? How nice. Can I send us those photographs? These people who ask, send us the photographs, you be caution. They will not see the photographs you send because they don't have time for all these things. Can you send us the photographs? 500 photographs. Who's going to see 500 photographs? Please tell me. That's why these days people have become smart. They only send to
like the marriage photograph we give the visitor.
Yeah.
And Guruji, I think in America, they normally ask, how are you doing, right? Not even how are you, how are you doing? So everything is a doing.
Doing. That is interesting thing. And one psychologist, he says, that book, I don't know, what's his name? He's a historian actually. His name is, I keep forgetting his name, I don't know why. Homecoming, that's the book he wrote, among other books. Healing the Shame That Binds You. Good books. He says, we are so used to doing, we should be called human doings, not human beings. We're all human doings. We're not beings. To be, you have to be, you just have to be first. So yeah, that's a story, Prasad.
Otherwise, you talk about dogs. Otherwise, we talk about dogs, what we do with the dogs, like taking them out, doing that.
I forgot dogs and pets, correct. Oh boy. Nothing wrong per se with any of this. I don't say it's wrong, but you see where the mind goes. Just charity. That's why samsara. That word samsara perfectly describes this guy who talks about dogs and cats all the time. Because samyak sarati, just like the sun keeps on rotating, revolving, day after day after day, sarati, moves, samyak. This guy is even worse than the Surya. Because today dogs, tomorrow cats, then day after tomorrow what? Children, empty nest. They say empty nest. Means what? Children are gone from home. Then it's called empty nest. Then you have to do something. Then you have to travel. Because retirement has come, which means you have to travel. It's all good. It's in a particular way. But so that is maybe Narada was caught in that trap also. But he recognized, I also need to. Everything I know is about anatma. He could have said this, anatma vid asmi, natu atma vid. He could have said that also. I'm an expert in all kinds of vidyas. I know every vidya that is there, but not atma vidya. Okay, Meera Narayana, go ahead.
Namaste, Guruji. I was just thinking in this doings, you were mentioning about doings, Shreyo Marga, you have to shift towards Shreyo Marga. So in the doings, does the acquiring of knowledge, you said there is a person who gets a lot of degrees. So in the process of acquiring knowledge, is there not a possibility of just losing on the focus of, Shreya Marga? So how do you actually keep your, because there is so much you can learn in this Vyavaharika world, and which is important, you say, that we have to keep in touch with everything, we have to know about things. That's what I understand. So how do you actually be focused on Shreya Marga? Because you said the more you gain experiences, it is very likely that the other focus can just deplete. You can be not focused towards Shreya Marga.
So your question is, how do you increase the focus into Shreya Marga? Huh?
In spite of being in Vyavahari, because that's important when we take up things.
Right. So Vyavaharika, you list all your Vyavaharika activities that you do in a typical day. And look at the things that are non-essential. Ask yourself, why am I doing things like this particular activity? Whatever it is. It could be attending friends' birthday parties or whatever. Something, you list everything. Without fail, you list all the activities. Then you ask, why do I do this? 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 Friend's daughter's birthday party. Important or not important if I ask? What will you say? It is important. Why is it important? Ask yourself the question. Force yourself to ask yourself that question. And then what will you say? Oh, how can I not attend Jyoti's daughter's wedding? I'm asking you that what happens if you don't attend Jyoti's daughter's wedding or birthday? Something should come out of that. That answer should tell me something. No, then she will. What will she think of us? What will she think of us? So what happens in my life? What is important? What others think of me is very important to me. Will come. That becomes the root problem, root cause of all the many things I do. Many things I do fall in that category. If what others think of me becomes very important, what about what I think of me? Is that important? Which one is more important? What others think of me is important, or what I think of myself is? First, I have to ask the next question number 2. Then what I think of myself is what? What do I think of myself as? Shastram says I should think of myself as Purna. I am free. Do I think of myself as free or no? If the answer is no, then that becomes very important. Therefore, that should tell you, this exercise should tell you, what are the things I do in a typical day, which I have to seriously think about to what extent I must keep doing those things. Slowly, I start cutting off certain things. Maybe difficult because I've been trained to think that this is important. But from a perspective of our Shastra Patanam, Shravanam, it may not be important. In fact, it may be an impediment, not just unimportant. It will be a barrier. Slowly you cut it off. One. Slowly. That requires some deep thought, thinking, some courage also is needed. Because there are some people who are going to be upset by you, upset with you. You did not do this, you did not do that. Swami Paramarthanandaji talks about port, possessions, obligations, relationships, and transactions. These are the 4 things that consume our life. Possessions, obligations. Friend's daughter's birthday is an obligation. Some obligation is there. Some mentally, I think I am supposed to be there because they came to my daughter's birthday also. That I must also go. So this must means obligation. Possessions, obligations, relationships. There's a big web, obviously, relationships. Because now the marriages and this and that will come. And so the close relatives are there. And then slightly not close relatives are there. And so that big web is there. How am I going to deal with that? We have to spend some time thinking about it. If we don't think about it, we will continue to remain in the same thing and we wonder why we are not making any progress. Well, we can't make any progress because I still have not evaluated my lifestyle. Life itself, I have not evaluated. I have not listed all the activities. I keep doing the same thing I've done before. And except for one class in the morning, I attend. So that's then when I do that, what will happen? Maybe I'm worrying too much about what others think of me. What happens if others think I'm not a nice person? What will happen? I have to ask myself the question. Vijay, what will happen?
No, I would say, so what?
To come to that level, so what? It's a journey. For some people, it's going to be a journey. Because to say no is not easy. So initially, you give an excuse. Oh, that day I have something going. Something you have to do. So you have to learn to handle all this. And to come to a point and say, you know what, I have classes that I bless your child, your daughter. I know your daughter very well and she is doing very well. I thank you for inviting me. And will you excuse me if I say that I have a class that day and I have to prepare for that class? Will you excuse me? Something you have to come to a point where you have to not hurt the other person also. You must be good at that also, not hurting the other person. You can't simply say no and put the phone down like that. No, that is not acceptable because that is himsa. So we have to make this assessment. Once you do this assessment, then you'll find that you'll end up having a lot of time. And you'll start asking, Guruji, when are you starting the next course? Somebody called me and asked me that question. The Upanishad course, when you are going to start? I was very happy when somebody asked me that question. I said, wow, nice. That triggered actually. I was planning to teach. But then I said, actually, somebody asked me that. So like that, it will become. It will become like that. So yeah, we have to reassess. Pariksha lokan karma chitam. Pariksha karna chahiye. We have to reassess our life based on what we know. And nothing is to be taken for granted.
So this was regarding people. So to some extent, I think after attending classes, we have learned to, I mean, assess and choose. But regarding knowledge also, regarding seva also, you have certain limitations of time and stuff. So where do you draw a line? That is also something which is very challenging. So here also, I think I should apply the same rule, like what is important here.
You have to apply the same rule. And there's no rule that says that we all must do seva. Because seva is aparavidya. Seva is preyo marga, not shreyo marga. So why do we do seva then? Well, antakarna shuddhi is not there for us. Therefore, the more we do seva, more we think of others' well-being, less and less my ahankara is emphasized. So I have the capacity to give, so I give. I have the capacity to give, so I give. And I keep on giving. Until I can also say, that's it. I'm now going to focus 100% on studies. I'm going to cut out all these organizations, this thing and that thing. I'm going to cut out. You can say that. Shastra will not stop you. Shastra will bless you for saying it. That is part of the maturity curve. And once the Shastra is understood, then you can come back to Seva. Why? Then you become an inspiration for others. And Loka Sangraha Artham. Right? What does it say? Janaka. Janakadayaha Loka Sangrahevartam Sampasyan Kartum Arhasi. Like that. So,
Guruji, you mentioned in the beginning of Kathopanishad that Shreyas and Prayas cannot go together.
okay.
So that means at some point, the focus has to completely shift to Shreyas. Because, yeah, initially maybe balancing act is required, but after a point, probably it has to be Shreyas. Only then you can probably attain what you're hoping to attain.
Just like anything, suppose somebody says, I want to start my own company, my own business. So far, he's been working for an employer, he's worked, etc. Now the time has come to do something myself. Now, what should this person do?
Focus fully on that only.
Fully focus, which means he will close the door, shut off the door, and he will not entertain calls for this party and that party, because that person is now, my sights are very clear and I have to focus. And even family activities, they will focus and say, we should try to limit all these. We'll go for a vacation here, there, but no more than a couple of days, 3 days, and then we'll have to come back and get back to business. And so look at that focus, that person, how focused he or she is going to be. Because to start a business and get it running and make some money and keep it running for a few years is a huge task. However small the business, it's a huge task. And so if we can say this for the business itself,
Yes.
which is also anatma only, within Prayomarga only, what to talk about anatma to atma?
It's a big shift.
That is why Shankaracharya says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction, he says, Jnanam Sannyasa Lakshanam. He says, if you want Jnanam, you have to become a sannyas. Why he should say that? Because the is, you can't be here and I also want to this. Both I want. Both I want idea will not work at all, my dear friends. So take to sannyasa. Those days they used to say. So we have to remind ourselves of that, saying that maybe that is the circumstances are not right for us like that. But now I appreciate why Shankaracharya said that, and therefore I'm very much active. I'm a professional. I'm a family person, etc. And I now have the opportunity to study this properly. And Janaka was a king and became a jnani. So at least I have some examples. Ashwapati, Janaka, etc. They were all people with huge responsibilities. I surely don't have those kinds of responsibilities. I will discharge my duties properly and I will continue studying. As much time as possible, I'll spend on this Shastra. Rest, Bhagavan will take care of. But I have to decide. Bhagavan cannot decide for me. That part he can't help. Once I decide, he can say, okay, I'll bring you along. They say, what is it? Bhakta takes 10 steps, Bhagavan will take another 10 steps, carry him for another 10 steps.
Yeah, our priority has to be clear. Okay, this is number one priority. Okay, other things may have to be done, whatever has to be done.
That is the summary of this mantra we studied. Our priorities have to be clear. Atma priority must be number one.
Number one. Dhanyavad.
Yeah. Good. These are the messages here.
Dhanyavada, Guruji.
One should always have 6 to 7. Ramoji's words of wisdom. One should always have 6 to 7 best friends. Who, what, when, why, how, etc. That is in a way. One should be a walking questioning mark. A walking question mark. Walking question mark. Yeah. Ramoji has interesting ways of putting stuff. We have to spend time thinking about all this. John Bradshaw, correct. John Bradshaw, Swapna said. That's it. John Bradshaw. He's a historian, by the way. Very good. His understanding of psychology is very deep. He talks about meditations and all that. In Homecoming, he suggests meditations. I've done those meditations. It just gets out all this, the smuck that is there in the head will just come out. Amazing. He's figured it all out. Somehow, hard work. He's gone through a tough life and he figured it all out. Reclaiming and championing your inner child. That's John Bradshaw. Correct. Swapna, thank you. Has anybody read that book, Homecoming? Let me know. Very good. He has written other books called Healing the Shame That Binds You. See, I was looking at this family trauma that keeps coming. Family trauma. Means there are traumatic events that happened in this family or the family before that. Then there are shameful things that have happened in a family that nobody will like to talk about. Something shameful. They think it is shameful, that's all. And so it is not talked about. But when it's not talked about, what happens? Shame just traps us and we become entrapped by that. Our emotions are stuck because of that thing that nobody has talked about, and that thing that is waiting, that is not healed. There is a wound that is not healed yet. I wanted to study that a little bit. So I looked up some of these books. And this Homecoming, Healing the Shame That Binds You. Very beautiful book. He talks about very powerful work he has done. So that's right, John Bradshaw. Okay. All right. We'll conclude with that. Guilt consciousness. Sapna is saying, I read after you mentioned this long time ago. Okay. Yeah, Sapna is traveling and she's somebody else's home. Good. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalasha Hastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Thank you.
Anyone?
Thank you.
Dhanyawad, Guruji.